Okay. Now to start with, what you're looking at on the screen are your menu buttons. AstroGold will give you some things about registering, hiding, importing wheel files, and importing IO charts. Anything you can do using your menu, or you can use your buttons in the toolbar, or you'll notice when I click on a menu, we also have keyboard cuts for getting to other things. On your chart information, here you can select whether you're looking at the selected charts or whether you're looking at Chart Explorer. Chart Explorer will give you information about the chart that you're looking at. And down the bottom, you've also got a choice to look at the chart details for any of the planets. I will say you're welcome to take screenshots anytime you see something you want to recall the settings for, and that is Command-Shift-3. So here we just select any of the planets we want to look at. We can see the position and speed. We can look at aspects. We can look at dynamic, which is transits and things coming up. I like to look at the selected chart information. I've got one chart selected, which shows me just one wheel, but I can have 2, 3, or 4 charts selected, and they will be viewed in concentric circles, which lets you look at the natal chart, progressions, directions, and transits, or any other 4 charts you want to look at. If you want to switch the order, just click the switch button and swap whichever one you want on top. I'm going back to one now, and this is just a random chart that I create for classes. Moving across, we have our clock, which is live, and that because I've got a natal chart open, the clock chart has opened up around the chart, and you'll see later on why one's brown and one's green. I know straight away that this one in the middle is a natal, and this one on the edge is a transit. That will tick over, and if you want to sit looking at the ascendant, you'll see that it is actually live and moving. That's not the ascendant, that's the chart ascendant. So over here, we'll see the midheaven, and I'm not displaying seconds, so you'd have to wait till it moves a degree. If I want the now button, it will give me a chart for now. And if I'm just going to the one chart view and I click the now chart, it just leaves the natal chart. If I was looking at a transit chart and clicked the now button, I would just see the transit chart. That was exciting. And I can choose by looking at the calendar. We've got the choice of looking at the now chart or the natal chart. We can enter by typing. We can enter by clicking on the button. And you'll see if I click on which option, it takes me to the different time. There's not much difference because these two were created close to now. So that's the chart I've got open here. And this is the absolute now time right this second. I can advance that chart by many options, seconds right through to years. And by clicking the right arrow with a bar, it'll advance by one, whatever we've got here. We're going 1 day at the moment, and we can advance it to just let it tick over at its own rate until I tell it to stop. And the same thing works in reverse. One click, one section, or let it run and that will happen. We have got a search button, a little magnifying glass here, and you've also got another one up here, which does allow you a little bit more information. So here's where we look for aspects, for retrogrades, for ingresses, for chart position, for house, for a return, or for lunations. Now, this is for looking for things in the sky. This isn't looking for things in your database. To do that, you need to look here at the chart button. So if we want to find an aspect, we choose what aspect we want, what planet we want, what aspect we want, and what natal planet we want. When I click next, it takes me to the next one, which is here, and I can keep going ad infinitum. And I can go backwards the same way. We can view the chart as a wheel, as a grid, or as a dial. And you have a choice whether you're looking from 22.5 degrees right up to 360. I won't explain what the dial is now. I'll let you, if you don't understand it, you can research that on the internet. But using the dial, you can see planetary midpoints for the whole chart. On the right-hand side, we've got our export button, which means you can send your chart by various methods, the usual things that are available. You can copy it, save it as an image, print it, or send it as a PDF, etc. And one of my favorite little features is the pin. So I can pin any chart or any page that I've got open. It will take me a little picture, and that will just stay there as long as I want it to. I don't know how many you can do. Somebody asked me, so I spent one afternoon having a look. When I got to 25, I got bored, and I thought if anybody needs to know whether it'll take more than 25, they can do it and let me know. Nobody's got back to me, so I guess nobody needs more than 25 charts, or nobody's been bothered to do it. In the middle, of course, we've got the chart wheel. And on the wheel, I can click to see a little bit of information about any point on the chart, and it will show me all of the points that I've got selected. I click too fast. Now, just a little bit of information about the planet when you click on it. And it actually puts a circle around the planet so you can see clearly which one you're looking at. There's no doubt that you're getting one that's very close to itself. From the chart wheel, notwithstanding what you've set up in your preferences, if I right-click or two-finger click or control-click, I get the choice to change my displayed points for this chart. I get the choice to change my wheel style for this chart, and I can also go into the wheel editor from here. I can also change the aspect set. Now, you'll notice when I'm looking at the wheel style, it's given me a little preview down here so I can see what it's going to look like before I actually click it open. So that was a right click in the wheel, or a two-finger click, or a control click if you're operating mouseless. At the bottom, we've got the transit bar, which tells you where the transits are right this minute, and that is live. So if you sat here long enough, you'd see the planets moving. Oh, excuse me. Okay, now I've shown you, most important, the help button, the little eye here, will take you straight to the user guide online. And the user guide has a search function. It also has an index, so you can find things by category, or you can just search for a feature you want. So there's the index, including a quick start. There's the search button, so you can type something that you want to see, click return, and it will bring up, mine set to find 10 results, and then you just click on that and you can read the information there. Very important thing. There's so many things, and it is written by astrologers who use the program. It's not written by computer boffins who understand all the background techo-whizzy but don't really want to know how to use the program. So I love online help manuals simply because you can do a proper search. Excuse me. Okay, now let's get into the business of using the program. I'm going to use the buttons, but as I mentioned, you can use the menu bar to find anything you want to do. So for a new chart, we click New. Now, the information here will come up with the last chart you entered. The name is already highlighted. All you have to do is start typing. hit the tab key and type the date, or click now if you want it to be a now chart. So we might make this the 6th of June 2000. Hit the tab key and enter your time. You don't have to put colons or anything, just full stops will do. Now we're going to enter the place. So let's go to New York. And when I hit the tab key, you'll notice my numbers went red and the country did not change. Now in America, we enter the state, and you can enter the abbreviation or the full name. If you want to enter the state of Georgia, enter GA. If you want to enter the country of Georgia, start typing GE, and then it will look it up. So New York is in New York, so it understands NY. When I hit my tab key, the coordinates update automatically. Best not to play with them unless you have to enter a place that's not in the atlas. And we've got many, many places in the atlas. You'll notice also that my numbers turned green. That's telling me it's green for go. It's all happening. The next button is whether we want an ungendered chart, natal chart, or whether we want a male or a female. And if you're doing a chart for a person, it has to be one of those three. If you use event or horary, you will get 1 degree transits. You will not get natal transits. So we'll just leave that as a natal at the moment. Over here, we've got an option to add comments about the chart. And these details are saved with the chart. My default settings have come up here, but when creating a chart, I can change to any zodiac, including a draconic. I can change to any house system, and there's a lot available, including sun on the first, or solar sign, or whole sign, or equal house. Now, when I hover next to one, it'll show me the last few that I opened, so I don't have to scroll through the whole list if I haven't already used it. And then we've got the option for geocentric or heliocentric. Now, there's no option to make helio a default. So if you want a helio chart, you do have to say so in this window. Once we've entered our data, we have to click calculate, and I can either choose one which will overwrite the chart that is in the box. And when I say overwrite, it's not going to delete it, it's just going to replace it. That transit chart will still be available in recently viewed. So I'll select it as chart 2, and we'll have 2 charts there. So now we've got the natal chart on the bottom and the transit at the top. And as I said before, if you want to change that, you can switch the order. If I have already charts in my system, and there are a few that come with the sample, so you've got some sample charts. If you've been using IO on the same machine, clicking on AstroGold Import IO Charts will import your charts from the computer and convert them to AstroGold charts. It won't interfere with the charts you've already got there. It just converts them here for AstroGold to use them. They may not be in the folders they were in your other computer because we're doing different platforms and so forth. If I want to open a chart, click the open button, a bit harder, and it's going to open in the last chart file I had open, which is obviously one I was playing with in a class. If I click the file button or the arrow beside the file, down the bottom, it's showing me the last 10 chart files that I had open. The ones that say iCloud are saved to the cloud. The ones that say documents are saved in my computer. Now I've got mine set to cloud, so the default storage place is iCloud, AstroGold, and then whatever file I'm using. If I want to look at more chart files than these ones, browse or open chart files will show me all the chart files in my system. We've just got a loud truck passing by. So you'll see, oh, it's in wheel design. So it's gone, oh, here we go. I'm just too fast for the computer this morning. So here it's gone to AstroGold on iCloud because that's my default location. If my charts are on my computer, I'd go to Documents, AstroGold, and there are the chart files that are saved on the computer but not in the cloud. So if we're going back to iCloud AstroGold, there's my chart files and they all end in .sfcht. You don't save an individual chart as a file, you save an individual chart as a string of text in a chart file. Okay, so I choose where I want to save it. No, we're opening, aren't we? So let's look, I'll use entertainment because it's neutral. Go down to the ones that come with the program, to Astro Entertainers, and now I can open my entertainers chart. Now going back to here.
That's the question before we go too far past it. If I want to import my IO, will I go to Documents?
You're not going to Documents on
If
chart file.
If I import my IO charts from before, then to call them forward, would I be going to, what would I be doing to pull them up?
Depends where you're saving them. If you defaulted to the cloud, you'd go to the cloud. If you're saving them in Documents, you'd go to Documents, AstroGold.
To Document. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would you mute again, please? Thank you. Where were we? Okay, open. You'll notice when I click the down arrow, there is a third option that I haven't yet mentioned. Please pay attention to this. I get a lot of questions about making a new chart file. You can take a screenshot if you want to. We're on Open Files, New Chart File. I click the button. When I move my control panel, it's stubborn. Now, don't be mistaken. You do not want new folder. You're already opened in AstroGold. We've got the clients up and we've also got our chart files here. You can save things in folders, but the charts themselves have to be saved in a chart file. Here I'm clicking Create because I've already told it I want to create a new chart files, and it's got the same name that I used to use, so I'm going to replace the name. Oops. Okay. Helps to read what you're looking at. So let me go through that again. I hope I didn't just replace my chart, my client charts. New chart file. And I've got to give it a new name, so I'll give it Monday. And now I can create a new chart file. The reason I put the underscore in everything I create is so I know it's mine. It's a bad mistake to edit anything that comes with the program because anytime you update, it risks being overwritten. And I don't think I clicked that hard enough. So now I've got a new file called Monday, and unless there's already one called Monday, this is the last session I'll be doing on this computer. My new computer has taken a week to get from Victoria, so I'm picking it up today. Okay, so now it tells me success. My chart file Monday has been created. Okay, so now I've got a new chart file and it is open. Now I'm going to go through that again because we have a lot of problems with people not realizing how it works. So open, and there's another way to create a new chart file, which I'll show you directly, but this is how you do it from the open button. We click on Files. We click on New Chart File. We give it a name, and then we click Create. Now this is creating in AstroGold iCloud. If I want to create a chart file in my computer, I'll go to Documents and save it there. Click Create, and now we're creating a new chart file called Name, and I can save many charts in any chart file. So success, we've created a new chart file again. Okay, let's find one that's got something in it. Go back to the entertainers. And anytime I click on a name, it shows me the chart, or it can show me the comments. So for now, we'll look at the wheel, and I'll just move that up so I can see over my control bar. Now, there's quite a bit to see here. First of all, we can swap files by looking at the drop-down button. We've got the chart file name. We've got how many charts are in it. And here we can enter some data or some information about the file. Entertainers is appropriate for what we're doing, so I won't bother with that just now. On the chart, you can see basic chart details. Now, down the bottom, we can reverse the names of the chart and have the last name first. I enter mine with first name first, so that's the way it goes. I can search my chart file, and this is the same as our chart search button up here. So I can either search chart details, which will give me details about the chart, for example, the name, or I can search astro details, which will let me find things in signs, in houses, in aspects, or the speed. Now, give you a little trick. Speed is stationary, retrograde, or direct. I just add a feature. So if I want to know when the moon is in Aries, it's already there. So if I want to add another one, I tell it that I want it to be Mercury in Pisces. So there it is. Now, if I click search, it's going to look for something that's got Venus stationary, or the sun in Gemini, or the moon in Aries, and the moon in Aries. We don't need both of them, so I'll just delete that one. If I want to get rid of one, I highlight it and then click the bin, and hey presto, it's gone. So these are all or, so it's going to find any chart that has got any of those characteristics. But we've added an and, which means it has to also have Mercury in Pisces. Now, if I don't want it to be and, I just click on it and then change the and or button to there. And if I want it to be something to be not somewhere, I click the not button. Now, this is important. Down the bottom, you've got a files button. So here we click, we can choose a particular file, or we can select a folder, or we can select a file. That's double Dutch, I'll start again. We've got the choice of choosing a particular folder or a particular file, but we've also got the option of searching all of the AstroGold files on iCloud, or all of the charts in documents in AstroGold. So because the default is iCloud, that's the one I've chosen. Now, if I'm not sure that my chart is local or on the cloud, I might have to run the search twice. So when I'm done, that's going to give us an awful lot of charts. Let me just take some of these out, or we'll be here all day watching it. Venus, Sun, we can make that and we can make that and. So we'll find Venus stationary and the sun in Gemini, and no, that's not going to work. Let me just delete them. If you're doing this for real, you'd actually be doing something particular, and you'd have proper characteristics rather than something I'm making up on the hop. So it's doing its search, and it's 4.5, 5% done, and it's looked at 890, 100. The more charts you've got, the longer it's going to take, but it's not too slow anyway. And I don't know if I've got any charts that got Venus stationary and Mercury in. Oh, I have. Somebody's got one. Okay, so we've got an entertainer who's got, I'm going to stop it now because something found up and I don't know, I don't want it to go through personal files. So here we are, it's found a chart. So I can select that to open it. And there she is. Okay, now going back to what else we can do in here. We can edit a chart from here, but I'm going to repeat my rule. Don't ever edit anything that comes with the program. If you want to edit some information about somebody, a chart who is already in one of the AstroGold databases, copy it and save it someplace else and edit that from your own file. Okay, so cancel that. We can delete charts. We can copy charts. Now I'm going to show you how to rearrange and look after your chart filing if you haven't been doing it the way that suits you. If I copy, I need to select a few first. So I'm going to random select by holding down the Command key, which means I can select where I want. If I want to select a block, I hold down the Shift key and then click the last one. But it doesn't matter, we can do it either way. Now, if you're going to organize your files or clean them up, this is the process you will do. So I've chosen the files that I want to copy, and the program's going to ask me, where do I want to copy them? So let's put them in the Thursday file because I know that's a rubbish file that doesn't matter. And here I click copy, and now they're going to be copied into the file, and it's telling me success, 11 charts have been copied. Brings me back to where I was to start with. Now, if I'm copying charts because I want to do a special project, I'm done. If I'm cleaning up my database because I've been saving files where I don't want them, now I hit the delete key and get rid of them out of this folder. But I'm not going to do that because that's not what we're doing here. Now, looking back at your list, if we click on the name, we can sort it up and down. If I click on, when I say up and down, I mean from A to Z or from Z to A. If we click on the date, we can sort by the chart date. And if we click on type, we can sort by the type of chart we're looking at. So if there's any, they're all people chart in here, so it's not going to show you much difference. We'll go back to name. I find that the easiest way to sort. But if you were looking for charts for people who are born between a certain period of time, sorting by the chart date can be very advantageous. Okay, now that's it. If I want to open one of these charts, I click select and tell it if I want to replace chart 1, if I want to replace chart 2, or if I want to pop it up as chart 3. I haven't looked to see what happens if I select a place that isn't occupied, or if there's only 3 charts, if there's only 2 charts and I've chosen 4. Okay, now I'm going to go into, no, first I'll go to subsidiary. We can go to subsidiary here in the subsidiary button, or we can go to select here and then go to subsidiary. And this is where we make other types of charts. So we can do transits and progressions, and this gives us the option to open the dynamic methods. We can do transits, progressions, directions, whole lot of other things, and you can edit and create those yourself. Pick the data. Because we've got 3 charts here, we can choose which chart we want to look at. We can pick a time or now. We can choose the location, the natal, your default home location, or any other place in the world that you want to enter. And we enter that exactly the same way. Type the name, hit the tab key, type the name, hit the tab key. We can look at a planet return or ingress, and they've been very sneaky. This is where you find your solar return or your lunar or whatever return you want. Do you want the current, the nearest, or the next? So if you want a different year, just type, for example, 1990 and click the nearest. Oh, I might need a proper date there. Let's go 5 January. And click the nearest or the next, and then calculate. It will then calculate the solar return that is nearest to the 5th of January 1990. And we never exactly know the date of a solar return because it is not the return to the date, it is the return to the position of the sun. And I know most of you know that, but we do have some people ask the question, why is the sun in a different house than what it is in the natal? We have lunar phase return, and you'll see the options down here change as I click through. If I've got 2 or more charts open, I can do a composite midpoint or a Davison relationship chart. I think I said chip, not ship. We can also do harmonics. We've got a number of harmonic options. And if you're doing an age harmonic or a fixed harmonic, just type in the number that you want. And we can easy peasy relocate the chart. Click on relocation, type a new location. See, my number's gone red because London, New York didn't make sense. Tap, and now they've updated to where they need to be. And I'll calculate that and calculate it as, when you're ready, it's taken over. It's relocated the chart and replaced it. Okay, now also in the select button, we can make a current transit chart, and I'll use this one for that. So current transits is just here and now. I can make a new chart from here. I can open a chart. I can edit a chart, which is exactly the way we do it from the buttons up here. I can favorite charts. So up here, you'll see there's a little star. If I tap that, it will become a favorite and will be listed in my favorite listing here. I can also see recently used charts that I've had open. I can clear them if I want that to be blank because I'm going to see a client. But the last 10 charts will be there. After 10, if I haven't saved any of them, you just might lose them if you keep creating more and more charts that aren't saved. I haven't tested that one. If I've got a chart here that I want to take out of the window, just remove chart, will take it out of the window. You will always have something in this window here, and you will always have a chart displayed. If you don't want charts to be visible, simply click to 4 and select current transits. Current transits, current transits, and then all you'll have visible are transit charts. Now, it is possible to, and I never remember where this is. Hide transit bar, no. Oh, here we go. In AstroGold, if you want to clear all the data that's being displayed, come down here and click Displayed Data. But pay attention to what you're clearing. And for me, that clears too many things. It will clear all selected charts and change them to current transits. It will clear the list of all recently used charts. It will close all active Astro sheets, and it will clear the list of all recently used Astro sheets. Now for me, I don't want all that information cleared, so I just manually go through and turn them all to transit charts. And it's always a good idea if you're going to do a session with somebody, click onto 4 and just make sure that you haven't got a personal chart showing when you open for your session. Okay, in the effort of trying to cram more in, I'm not following my usual sequence. So let me see what I've missed. From here, we can also change the displayed point set, and this will change the set you're using. Previously, I showed you if you click in a ring, you can also change the displayed points. This will change it just for this chart. So if you open a new chart, it will go back to your displayed set. Now I'm going to skip on. Have I covered all of those? Yes, I'm going to skip on now to preferences. No. If you want to, or before I do that, if you want to view your chart differently to this presentation, click on Sheets, and here you will find loads of chart data and ways to look at your chart when it wakes up. Maybe I didn't click it hard enough. Oh no, it's just being slow. Okay,
How do you delete this chart?
beg your pardon?
If you didn't want the chart any longer, how would you delete it?
We just covered that.
Oh, well, all right.
You would remove chart, but you'll always have one chart there. And you change that if
You can't delete that?
you can't have nothing there. You have to have something there. It's a charting program. You can change it to a transit chart. So I can remove all of the charts that are here, but one of them will stay. Remove.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure it's not a client chart if you're going to do a new session. We're just waiting for it now. Okay, now to look at sheet, I did want 4, so let's go back to 4. When we look at the sheets, we have lots of different information and ways to view the chart. Okay. No, it's still choose. Make I've queued. Just give me a second. Okay, so we've got options of how many charts we want to look at. And if we're looking at the one chart option, we can view a wheel, a grid, a wheel and a grid, a points list, syzygies and eclipses. Is that in the way? The wheel with basic information. And I love the beginner's page. It's beautiful for people who don't know astrology because it explains what all the squiggles mean, which is useful. We can also look at predictive and find lunar progressed phases, lifetime arcs, sun sign wheels. That's a page with 12 wheels for the one date showing every, oh no, it went slow, so I moved it on and went too fast. Showing the same chart put with every sign on the ascendant, and that uses whole sign houses. In traditional, we can see essential dignities. We can see house, and M means mutual reception, and you've got the option of turning that off in your preferences. We can see house dignities, planetary sect, dignitaries and horary, dignities and sect, foederia, profections, zodiacal releasings, and you'll see some of these pages have got a setting button, which means you can make other choices within that page. If there's more information, then there will be a scroll bar so you can get down to the bottom. And all of these pages let you save to a folder, export by the usual methods, or pin. So even these sheets you can pin and have them saved for handy reference. We've also got the Lunar Mansions page. We've got options to look at for midpoints, for minor bodies, for Arabic lots or paths, and for fixed stars. Now, in the map section, we don't have Paran lines showing, but you can see your Parans here in the sheets. Now, that's all the options for the single one chart when it wakes up. Oh, I didn't go on to nodes. We also can view nodes and apsides. These are planetary nodes. Just go back to close that so I can get to the bottom. For two charts, we can see a bi-wheel. We can see a bi-grid. We can see synastry, which will give you both charts on the inside. So you've got chart 1 inside here and chart 2 inside here, a grid and transits. Or you can look at dual wheels where you just see the 2 wheels and the same chart information. For 3 charts, we see the tri-wheel or the 3 wheels, and for 4 charts, 4 wheels or quad wheels. The name escaped me for the moment. Okay, now, pinned will let you see all the sheets you've pinned. Listings will give you a report on what you're looking at. This one is not printable or savable, and there are options here, so choose what you want to look at, and the options here will change depending on what you're looking at here. If you want a printable report, it's dynamic, and this will give you a transit listing or whatever. We mentioned briefly looking at the options before. So if we've got major lifetime transits or transits and progressions, that one runs for 100 years, run, and now it's running. We can change the location by clicking on the location pin. When it's finished, we can export it, and we can sort it by clicking on the sort button or by clicking on any heading, and that will sort the whole list by that heading. Looks like I picked a long one. I'm going to stop that because that'll be enough for us to see what we're doing. So this is sorted in date. No, it's not. If we sort in date order, we'll see things happening by date. If we want to look at what the transiting order, we can look at what the transiting planet is doing. If we want to look at what's happening to our natal planets, we might want to see what's happening to our natal moon, and this is what's going to happen to it. So it reads like, here's your method. So we're looking at transiting is making this aspect to this planet in the natal chart, and it is exact, X for exact. You'll find a number of things under here. You might find E for entering, L for leaving, B because it's already happening, S because it's changing sign, and that all depends on the settings that you set up in your dynamic job. If you want to edit or create a new dynamic job, click the buttons here, and that will open your preferences. So I'll copy it, give it another name, and then I can edit what's happening. So if we want to change that, we just edit and change what we want it to be, and pay attention to these options down here. This is how you get when it's coming into aspect, when you're getting a house ingress, a sign ingress, a station, an eclipse, or perigees and apogees. If I want to, I haven't done anything to that. If I want to add another feature to my search, I click add. And because the first one was transits, it opens up in progressions, but we've got all of these options. And for some of them, you have more options here. So if it's progressions to natal, what progressions do you want? And once again, you can edit all of these settings, the from points, the aspects, and the 2 points, and you can enter the same options again. So we'll just leave that as it is. When you've done with your editing, save your document, and you'll notice there's no confusion. I'm not overwriting anything. And now we've got a new set in the system, and that's that. You can also change the order in which they're displayed by clicking on the up and down buttons. Now, that's brought us to preferences, which is where I was probably going to go next anyway, and I'll go back to the start so you don't get confused where we are. Editing preferences is very important. Clicking on home will allow you to set your default home location. So enter the details just as we did before. Type the name, hit the tab, type the name, hit the tab, and the coordinates will update. When you've got the right place, click Save as Default, and that will then be your default place. Here you change your color scheme, and here you change your glyph style. Let me go back to one chart so you can see more clearly what we're looking at. We have a choice of the sans serif or the styled glyph. We had a few people ask for that one, so they've made it available. And you'll see, as I'm changing things here, it changes immediately on the screen, so you don't have to keep going in and out of the settings. If you want to display in monochrome, clicking that button will do that for you, and you'll see a black and white chart eventually. And if you want to print in monochrome, click here and your print will always be monochrome. Come on, wake up. There we are. It was about to do it when I turned it off. If you watch quickly, you'll see it. I'm going to turn it off again. There you are. Okay, and here's we set up our default displayed sets, and you can have many of them. You're not stuck to one. So this is, we're looking at displayed points at the moment. We're looking at the default set. Now, this is not a default set. This is one that I created for a client. And these are others that I have created. I think there are a few that come with the program. Yeah, inners, fast, outers, planets and Chiron, planets and asteroids, planets and Chiron. So if I just want to choose another one for my default, that's what I do. Now, if I'm changing this, if I want to add points, I just click what I want added. So I might want, it's an interesting vesta, isn't it? Click on the ones that are grayed out if you want them included. And when you're done, save as and give it your own name. To add extra points, we click this button here and we can add midpoints. And there's your list of midpoints. Don't you love the way they're displayed? Just click the one you want. So sun, moon, and add. And here it is. Now, this little A dot is actually aspected. So if you want any of these points to be aspected, also click the button underneath aspected, even though you can't see the full name, and it will become an aspected point. We can also have minor bodies, which are some of the asteroids, and these all have their own little glyph. So if we want Asclepia, just add it. And now we've got Asclepia. And I won't bother making that an aspected point. The next one we've got are Arabic parts or lots, and some of them we have a choice of which file set you want to use. The next one we've got is, I think, stars. And again, we've got a choice of stars that you want to look at. We can look at all named stars, the Hermes stars, the brightest stars, the ecliptic stars. We can look at fixed positions. So if I just want a fixed position, I can highlight that and type what I want. I have to delete it because I want to highlight it. So I want 15 Sag 23. So that's 15 degrees, 23 minutes of Sagittarius. Add it, and it pops up as a little glyph that looks like 15 Sag. So see there, you've got a little spot and it says 15 Sag. But it is actually 1523. And the last option we have are the planetary nodes and apsides. We have got a choice of ascending node, which we would call, with the moon's node, we'd call it north node, descending node, perihelion, and aphelion. They can all be added into your display points. Give it a good name. So save as, I don't want to override, I want to save as, and I'm going to call it Monday. So I know it's not one that I've created with a purpose. Okay. So now we've got a new set, and that is now my default, and it has reflected here, I think. The same thing for aspected points. Now I have everything selected for aspected points because they will only be aspected if they're also display points. So I don't even have to think about it. But there are other options available, and you can see I've been messing as well. We also have an option for aspect sets. Again, there are a number, and this one I've done for a client, so you can see what she wanted. If it's selected, it's got the little button and it's black. If it's not selected, it's grayed out. And you change that just by clicking in the box. If you want to change your orb, click in the button and type the number. So we want to make that a bit bigger. So I'm making that 8, hit the tab key and make the next one, went too fast. Make the next one 8. And the next one we will make 7. And the next one we will make 5. And I'm just going to go back and show you what I'm doing. We have got the choice of choosing separate orbs for applying and separating luminaries. That's the sun and the moon. And you can also set orbs applying and separating for the other planets. Often we give the sun and the moon wider orbs, and usually we give the separating orbs less degrees than the applying, because the applying are more powerful. When I'm done, I click Save As, and then I can save my set. Now there's a lot to see in wheels. This is the wheel style that you're going to look at. Now, you must read it. Like if you want to know what this is, you look at the wheel style and you look at how many wheels it is. So this one is wheel style bi inner, and it's a bi wheel. This one's a tri wheel. This one's a quad wheel. And the same for dial style. So either looking at wheel or dial, and each is independent of all the others. Every one you set will not interfere with the other settings you've got. This is where we turn the auto ring colors on and off. That's the green for transit and brown for natal and blue for progressions and red for directions. Personally, I like it on because if you're looking at 4 charts and you want to switch them and look at them in different ways, you can instantly see which charts which without having to read the details. You can tell by the color. Now, we're often asked why you don't have the RX displayed. We do. If the RX itself is not in the wheel you're looking at, the degree numbers will be red. As people go to smaller and smaller devices, we're very aware of the amount of real estate that's available, or more likely not available. So we really don't want to clutter up the chart any more than we have to. There are a number of wheels that have the RX shown, but they don't all have the house numbers. They don't have the house ring. And if you don't like what we've got, you can always go into your wheel editor and create your own with up to 12 rings. That's a class in itself. We can, for a ring fill wheel, some wheels have ring fill color, others don't. If you're using the plain color, you've got a choice of color and you've got a choice of intensity. This button is the station options. Now, if you have S selected up here, enable station calculations, you can then determine when you want your planet to be considered stationary. And that's a matter of personal preference, and everybody's got a different idea. If it's not enabled, it won't show you S on your chart. And you can see we've got an S here in this chart. Neptune is stationary. We can edit our own colors for color planet, color sign glyph, color sign fills, color aspects. And the minute you start clicking on something, the color box will open, and it will stay open until you close it. So we've got the color pencils, we've got the gradient, we've got color blocks, we've got the color slider, and we've got the sphere showing you different things. I'm not going to change that, so I'll just click out of that. Works exactly the same way for the other selections. And when you're done, click to close it. This is where we select to show aspect lines, show aspect glyphs, use thicker lines for tighter orbs. We do have an option for fainter aspect lines for looser orbs. Personally, I find it too light and it's too easy to miss something. We've got the option here of proportional houses, which doesn't work for all. Obviously, it doesn't work for equal house or whole sign. But what proportional houses does is let you see on when it's variable, a small house looks like a small house and a large house looks like a large house. We can have shadowed glyphs, which is, I think, the choice that comes with the program. And personally, I don't like it. It just makes it fuzzy, especially when you're going to do a PDF of it. So I choose to have mine off. Now, we mentioned the dial before. This is where we change the modulus, and this is where we change the maximum orb. We've got some preferences in calculations for such as true, mean, zodiac, house system, lunar nodes, black moon, part of fortune, how you progress your angles, and whether you use the tropical or the Bija for your day progression rates. Tropical is 1 degree a year. Bija works more for the solar and works more on a sidereal chart. And dynamic, we're back to dynamic, where we create our sets that we want the program to produce reports for us. Okay, graphic ephemeris is one of my favorite features. And I'll just very quickly do a transit. How big was that? Run. This lets you see a long time frame in one page playing to your, and that's a long one too. Let me stop that. Let me just go to outers. Transits of inners will do. Okay, run. We've got the option of saying how long we're going to do it for, what degree modulus we want, a few other settings like radix positions and lunations. Change the location here under the pin. Run will set it to go. And what you're looking at, I'll just make it bigger so you can see it. The lines running across the page, the dotted lines are the natal planets. And here you'll see the natal planets and their sign. Transiting planets come in from the left and run across the page. If they're running down the page, they're in direct motion. If they're running up the page, they're retrograde. If they drop off the top of the page, they straight away reappear at the bottom. If they drop off at the bottom of the page, they straight away reappear at the top. And you'll see there's a glyph when they change houses. See that blue dot there on the blue line, and the dot will be the same color as the symbol. And I said the wrong thing, when they change sign, I forget whether I said signs or houses. That's when they change sign. And the little glyph will tell you what the aspect is that it's making to that natal planet underneath it. If you want to look at the next year, just click on the date, change the date, and click run again. And there you are, you've got the next period. Again, this can be printed, exported, saved. I like to do one of these every year, and I've got it on my desk for what major transits are happening to my natal chart. In fact, I don't use outers, I use inners and outers. And you can tell I'm talking fast because we're nearly out of time. Just quickly, you've got a maps option here, and you can change the way you look at it. You can change what you see printed. You can change the lines you're looking at, and you can search for eclipses. Relocation is as easy as entering the data or clicking on the pin and tapping it on the map. You can also generate a brief report about how the chart is going to change when you move it, like what planets are going to be on the angles. And we can see the chart wheel, and we can see the local space wheel, which we can also move around the page or close it if we decide we don't want it. Again, this can all be exported. Now, we do have a zoom button down the bottom, so you can zoom your map in. And once you start zooming, you get scroll bars so you can change the location that you're looking at. Obviously, that's not a full astrocartography expose. I'm just showing you where it is and how you can use it. And of course, we have our pro reports, which produce beautifully written and displayed interpretive reports. There's about 10 options now, and they are produced as a PDF. They certainly don't take the place of a professional consultation, but they're really lovely to give to your clients as something to take with them, so you don't have to write out 20 pages of interpretation yourself. And I find the birth ones are really lovely. I've got a lot of granny friends who want a birth chart report. Sorry, they want the child report for their new grandchildren. And the adolescent report written by Alex Trenoth is absolutely fantastic for both parents, carers, and the adolescents themselves, get a bit of insight and coping into that horrible adolescent period. So relationship is a synastry report. And there, I'll just quickly pop one up so you can see what they look like, but they are displayed on our websites. I haven't got a natal chart up, that's why. So it will only do what I want it to do. And sometimes the computer knows what it wants better than I do. So if we go into a natal chart down here, that's a natal chart. And now we can run a report on that. So here's our child report. If we've got a full time, we use the full. If we have an untimed, you can also enter your own personal data here in the reports, and there's various options. And ready to go, generate will open a Word document. The beauty of the people charts in this aspect is that they're written in areas of life rather than in this aspect, the other aspect. So we start off with, and I'll reduce that so you can see the whole page. We see the chart, we see the location of the planets, and then we come down to what it is and isn't, and then we start with the actual report. So family and friends is very relevant for children. Talents and schooling. And the aim of the child report is to help parents and carers do the best for the child. Those of us who have children know that they're all different, and what works for one child just does not work for another. So that's basically how the reports work. And I'll leave it sitting there for a second so you can read some of the information if you want to. Phew, that's it for today's session. I realize it's fast, and I hope you are able to take screenshots of things that you want to be able to remember. We do have regular classes every month. I do a class 1 month morning, 1 month afternoon. So we cope for the East and West hemispheres. Let's see, what am I looking for? They are all advertised on the ESOTech and the AstroTech website and all the Facebook pages. They do come with a recording. For the free classes, we can't, it gets too involved with questions and so forth. So they are available.
So you said that the recording for this is not available. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was how it was advertised in the flyer. And it's just too awkward with 500 people and all the questions that come up from a free recording.
I have a quick question. The question is, when
Sorry, Gary, you're very broken up. Can you say that again or get closer to your microphone? Perhaps write it in the chat box. It's very hard to catch. Now, just
my question is, can you hear me?
Yes, that's better.
My question is, when I'm entering the birth date in the field, when I'm first originally doing that on my MacBook Pro, almost all the time the birth date that is received there is different than the one I type in. I've spoken with Zane about it, but he doesn't seem to have an answer either. I'm wondering what to do.
How do you type in your data? Gary, how do you enter?
Were you able to hear me clearly?
I didn't hear you at all.
Not sure what's happening. I can't hear anybody.
How do I look in the chat box? I can hear you. Just a moment. I'll change that to everyone. Okay, have a look at the chat box, Gary. How do you enter your date and time?
Hello, I couldn't hear anything.
Does anybody else have a problem hearing?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, good. Just check your sound settings, Gary. That's no good. You can't hear me. Oh, I can hear Gary. He can't hear me. There's something with his sound. Now I'm just having a look and saying, yes, Christine, I will take some questions. Thank you, Nancy. Where do we find out about the monthly? You find out about the monthly classes on either astrotech.com.au. And I'm just putting it in the chat box, and look under online classes tab. And if you scroll down the page, you will see the schedule. If you book a class, you must tell me which class you want to do. And the program is up there up to February. Okay, so can you see that? Right, now let me go back to the top and see what I've missed. Under more, you'll see, oh, thank you, Christine, trying to help somebody who couldn't find it. It's beside the red record. Oh, we've got a lot of helpers online here. Will this webinar be? No, the
Void of course.
beg your pardon, Laurie?
Oh, can you tell us how we would do void of course moons, how we would find them
You work up a
on the software?
you want to, the dynamic listing is all the transits, and then you want to show sign ingress. So you'll run your report. You'll probably only be looking at the moon as a transit point. And then when you've got your report, it'll show you all the transits. When the moon changes sign, the line before that is when the moon goes void of course. I think you'll find that I have a short video on that on my YouTube channel, which will be, those of you who booked on my page, on my ad, will have it on the ad. It's YouTube AstroTech. So, okay, why do these buttons look inactive? Kim, you'll have to explain what you mean. Why do these buttons look inactive? Love, I can't figure that out. A little different on, oh, this is a Mac app. This is a Mac session. It is not an iOS session. It's different on the i. We've got 3 different operating platforms, so we've got 3 different programs. Little different on the pad. Transit bar is missing. Yes, you can turn the transit bar on in view in your menu bar. Okay, my transit bar is missing. Wait a minute, I think I missed one. Oh, thank you, Joe, filling in the information. It's year 200. Oh, good pickup, but that's, it would have given us the year I entered. That's the thing with computers. They do what you tell them, not what you want them to do. Can I drag to iCloud or do I? No, you need to, I'll read the question because you don't know what I'm talking about. You can't just drag to iCloud. You have to allow your computer permission to connect to iCloud, and then you have to make sure that AstroGold is selected as something that's allowed to share on the cloud. That's in your computer settings, and I think it's in privacy, but we do have an info page on let me get my mouth straight again, on connecting to iCloud. You'll find that on the FAQ, both on AstroTech and ESOTech. Why didn't you put in an underscore before the file name? Because I know that Monday's a rubbish file. Just for my benefit. Why didn't I? Yeah, just for my benefit. Can I reset? Why didn't I put an underscore? She's not taking questions during the presentation. Put them in. Okay. I heard her preference. Thank you.
Couldn't find your void of course moon video on your AstroTech. Is there a
No,
AstroTech?
it will be on YouTube, AstroTech. And if
I checked.
If you've ever had an email from me, my YouTube link is on the bottom, and you want to look at AstroGold. Not being recorded, but
Okay.
Yes, if anybody wants to save the transcript, go down the bottom of it and click save the transcript, because once I close the session, it will be gone. There is a user group on Facebook. It's called, if you look for AstroTech, you'll find it. And I've got my own page on Facebook called Rhonda Buttery Astro Tech. SOTech and AstroTech have YouTube channels. How to get help using the AG app for the phone. Click on the, to get help on the app for the phone, tap on the I button in your menu and click email us. Be instructed to save the transcript. Do you still need more instruction on saving the transcript, or have we covered it? Great idea. So the same here, click on the area that says who can see this transcript. You might have had to turn the transcript on at the start. 3 dots. Gary, did I get your question? Are you still here, or we still can't hear each other?
I'm here. I'm here the whole time.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, if you hear me now.
I can. Now, my question to you was, how do you enter your date and time information?
Exactly the way that it requests in the program. I forget whether it's date or time first, but whichever it is,
Doesn't
I put
matter.
in the day or the month first. Yeah. I just enter it in. I never have a problem with it. It's just that it comes out with different numbers.
I suggest you type the month as a word, not a number. And when are you talking about doing it on the Mac or on the phone?
On the Mac.
Okay. Do you click calculate on the bottom right before you get out of the enter?
Yes. Yeah, I always do that.
If Zane can't figure that out, I'm sure I won't be able to. Here's the Techo.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, large CC. Okay, there's just people trying to help. We'll be recording. Now, listen, everybody, please, the recording will not be available, but if you want a recording, you can go online and buy one. Just as a little heads up, I did one for Kepler at the beginning of the year, and theirs is online on their Kepler website. Can you see two charts side by side? Kevin, to see charts side by side, you go into Sheets to view them, or you copy the picture and paste it somewhere. There is no save at the bottom of the pop-up list.
Can you say the name of the Void of Course Moon video? And I have your channel, but
No,
it doesn't come up under Moon.
I'm not even on it at the moment, Laurie. I'll get back to you later. Can you drop me an email, please? Rhonda@AstroTech. I think I've got your details anyway because we've communicated before.
I'll send it again. Thank you.
Thanks, honey. Private session. Oh, thank you, Elise. That's nice. And hi, RFR. I remember you doing a session for your group as well. Special extra points are not showing up in the chart. They show up in the chart. Maybe I didn't click OK if you didn't see it on mine. Sometimes I focus more on what I'm doing than what the result is when I'm in a class. Thank you. Oh, thank you for your appreciation. It's really nice. Here, how do you read your date? That's Gary. How do you transit planets in your personal chart on iCloud calendar? After you've run your, I'll read that so you can understand what I'm saying. How can I do transit aspect planets in my personal natal chart on your iCloud? Run a dynamic report for the transits, and that's on the dynamic button up the top. And after you've run the report, you've got an option there on the window to export to your calendar. Now, there is a YouTube video on that one. Okay, Kevin Mallett, to schedule classes, you can go to astrotech.com.au and click on the tabs, the online classes tab, and make sure you scroll down the page to see the schedule and then tell me which ones you want. Now, our pro reports at the moment are on special for $220 each. Pets is cheaper. And you can also get that at my page, astrotech.com.au, and they're all listed under the specials tab on the left. Can I delete some column? No, you can't delete common columns. I will note that as a request because I think it would be good too. in dynamic, and I'd also like to be able to change the order of them. Does the user guide add up? As far as I know, the user guide adds up. I don't ever go through and read it totally. Just try to find. Melina, it's astrotech.com.au. Did I type it wrongly? Okay, not .co. That's gone into direct. Just a moment, I'll put it into everyone. Go. So there's my astrotech, astrotech.com.au. To display the RX, change your wheel style. I'll go backwards. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that you've enjoyed today and that it has been useful. You save the transcript at the end, but you had to have it open at the beginning. Thanks. Great. Okay, I think I've covered all the questions. So thank you all for being here today. I have run over time, but I do appreciate your comments and your enjoying our software. Would you like people to enjoy our software? Because then they get to know it better and use it better, and then they give us good reviews. Okay, so thanks for being with me today. I can't see that there's any more questions. So if you've got a last second question, now's the time before we go. Stop recording.